All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Roy McQueen from NC Tech-lutions, and we are moving along here. Now, in this video, I'll be discussing toolbars. You've seen how to add a toolbar in the previous video when I discussed pages. Now, toolbars are optional headers and footers in an app. The upper bar that contains our title of the page, and the lower bar that has a website name or, copyright information. Now, you've seen how we fixed the positioning where the header bar stayed at the top of our app and the footer stayed at the bottom. Well, you can also define different behaviors for both toolbars. So let's go ahead and grab some content and paste it in there, and we're going to take a look at how the differences of the different positions we can have each toolbar. First, we'll look at the inline position. Now remember that the inline is default, so I'm just going to remove this. So the default behavior is inline mode, and this just means that if the page content is longer than the available height, the footer will be hidden by default, and it'll appear after you scroll down. Sometimes it's useful to have the toolbars available at all times, so let's go ahead and take a look at the fixed position. As you can see, a fixed toolbar is at the bottom. And also, if a user taps on some non-interactive content on the page, the fixed toolbar will convert themselves to inline mode when in fixed mode. Alright, we can also add content to the header and footers like a button. So remember how we styled our anchor link as a button in one of the previous videos? Well, inside of the header, a button is just an anchor link without specifying the role attribute. So if we want to just add one, it'll show up on the left side of the header. And if we want to add another, then it'll show up on the right side. You notice a new attribute, which is the data icon. Well, jQuery Mobile has a standard set of mobile icons that you can use. Another thing I want to point out is you don't need to provide a back action on your own, because jQuery Mobile will handle the browser's back button automatically, and we can use the data add back button attribute and set it to true in the header of the page. And what it does, it will add a back button at the left side of the title. So let's go ahead and check out how that looks. Now, when building your app, you might want to brand it. So it's common that you might want to show a logo in the header instead of just a title and text. You can easily add your custom logo between these two buttons just by using an image tag inside the H1 tag. But be sure not to use images larger than 125 pixels. And once again, I'll get into that in a later tutorial. And we just getting started, guys. Once you get through this basic series right here, we get into the more advanced topics, and you really get a chance to really dig deeper into it. Now let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. With the footer, we have a little bit more flexibility to add as many buttons as we like. By default, the framework doesn't add visual padding between the buttons and the footer border. So to provide a better visual appearance, we'll add a class, and we're going to use the class of UI bar to the footer. And I explained that in the last video how, jQuery Mobile provides you with a lot of different classes for styling. And we'll also cover that later. All right, so let's go ahead and load this in a browser. You can also load this in a browser. I'm going to go ahead and use the Google Chrome. Okay, so far the footer. This is just, so for the footer, this is just an option. But in the next video, I'll show you the way I prefer, the way you should have your footer and header. Well, the way I prefer to have my footer and header, which is going to be a footer and header that stays put as you navigate throughout your app. So I'll catch you in the next video.